Hi, Atena, and I like to talk about perfume. Today's video is all about my fragrance aesthetic, and what I've done is choose 10 perfumes that reflect my aesthetic, at least right now. This video was actually in response to a viewer question. Someone reached out and asked me how I would articulate my personal fragrance aesthetic because they were considering their own aesthetic and found it helpful to hear how other people thought about theirs. A fragrance aesthetic is something that I think about as I'm reviewing fragrance, and especially when I find something that I personally don't like but seems to be very well liked and maybe even loved by other people. So when I come across something like that, I really do stop to think about what it is in the perfume that isn't appealing to me so that I can, be secure in my review of it and explain why I don't like it. And I've said things like, this is nice, but it doesn't really fit my aesthetic. I like this, I like smelling it, but I don't think I would get a bottle because it's not really my aesthetic. I do think about that. And one of the reasons also is that I have set a limit on myself for how many perfume bottles I can have in my collection at a time. And that number is 100. I don't have quite 100 right now, but it's always 100. So if I'm adding something to my collection, I try to let go of something. Either I gift it or I try to sell it. But I really try to curate my collection as much as I can. And I think that a lot of what is missing in our world with the amount of social media we have is a curation. So yes, there's top 10 videos all over the place and they seem to do really well on YouTube, but what are people really curating? I find value in seeing what other people curate, and I find value in curating what I have as well. The last thing I want is to be running out of space in my house because I just have so many fragrance bottles and nowhere to put them, and for me to miss out on other things in my life because of an obsession with perfume. I think I've talked about that in other ways along the way, but that is a limit that I impose upon myself. So really, 100 perfume bottles still seems like a lot, I bet, to a lot of people. Anything that I add to my collection is something that I have wanted and enjoy, or I've gotten in PR, and if I've gotten it free, then I always mention that as well. Sometimes I enjoy the things that I get, sometimes I don't, and I just make it clear where the bottle has come from. If you look at the profile picture of my channel, it is me holding a whole bunch of Serge Lutens bottles, and that is a signal of my aesthetic. I really do enjoy the aesthetic of the Serge Lutens brand, and I have gotten comments and I've heard from people who said, oh, I saw your profile picture and I thought that we might share a similar aesthetic. So that's how I ended up watching you. And that profile picture is there for that reason. It is to signal that this is the type of perfumery I enjoy and I will curate and hopefully be able to talk about. I've also mentioned before that I don't really enjoy a overdose of certain aroma chemicals, namely Agicala wood. That's one that I have a lot of trouble with when there's a lot of it in a perfume. I find that it really overwhelms my nose and sometimes it gives me headaches. So I am going to be partial towards perfumes that don't have a lot of that in there. There are perfumes that I talk about that have a little bit of it, and I can still wear that perfume, but when there's too much of it, I do get overwhelmed. I also don't like IBQ a whole lot, so if I can smell that Tom Ford ombre leather kind of really black, hard new car type of smell, then that's usually not a perfume I like. So there's not a lot of leathers in my collection. There's also not a lot of oud in my collection. I just haven't smelled a lot of ouds that I personally enjoy and feel like wearing again and again and again. I'm also not a gourmand person. I don't have a lot of perfumes that are very sweet. I have a few, but again, a lot of sweetness is something that overwhelms me, and I don't enjoy wearing those types of perfumes. I sometimes, again, start getting a headache or my throat hurts. I get some sort of a reaction to it. So you will never really hear me discuss the nuances of particular gourmand perfumes because I personally cannot handle wearing them myself. And it wouldn't be fair for me to pretend that I can wear them. I just can't. If you're looking for me to review something that's very, very sweet, I just probably will not be able to do it justice. So that's also something that informs my aesthetic. Another thing that is really important to me, in addition to that 100 bottle rule, is to not be overly attached to anything in my collection. That being said, these 10 perfumes are ones that I would like to hold on to as long as I possibly can. I try not to prevent myself from wearing them, so if I'm in the mood to wear them, I do wear them. I want to be able to enjoy my collection as long as I'm here on this earth, and as long as I have a nose that works and can enjoy these. So that is something that I also think about when I'm thinking about adding something to my collection, or I'm thinking about getting rid of it. Is it something that I would actually wear? Do I enjoy wearing it? And all of these perfumes are ones that I do enjoy wearing. One thing that you will notice is that there's a lot of designer perfume here, even though some of the designer perfume is from the private collections or the more exclusive collections from the brand. They're typically available only at certain outlets, so usually it's the brand's own boutique in some way, shape, or form. Even though they are for the more discerning perfume lover, they are still mass-produced and available all over the world. I think that what I really enjoy about some designer perfumes is that they are very smoothly blended, and a lot of these give you a feeling and are a little bit more abstract, while others are a little bit more literal, but they really do exemplify my aesthetic. And some of them have commonalities in terms of either the perfumer or specific notes that they have in them. For the longest amount of time, I only really enjoyed wearing green perfumes, but I have moved into wearing more ambery scents now, so my top 10 is pretty amber heavy. Let's get started. The first perfume I've talked about many times, and that is Bois d'Argent by Christian Dior. Again, this is from the Privé line, and this is my second bottle of this perfume that I've bought. I will continue to buy it as long as I can. If I ever run out of this, I'll probably buy it again. At least that's how I feel right now. This is a bit of an ambery iris perfume. It smells quite luxurious. It just makes me think of rich people. It's not overly warm and also not really cool, but it just feels effortless. And that's what I think of when I think of Bois d'Argent. I can really wear this anytime. I've worn this as a bedtime perfume. I've worn it for meetings because it's not very strong. So it's not something that's going to overpower the room or announce you before you even enter. It is a more subtle scent, and it really conveys a more, I guess, old money kind of aesthetic because it's just not very loud. So that's the first one, Bois d'Argent by Christian Dior. I've mentioned this like a million times and I absolutely love it. I should say that some of these I'm going to try to go through pretty quickly because I feel like I've talked about them so much, or if I've reviewed them by themselves, I will of course post a link to the review. But sometimes, I just want to be quick about it. So let's do that. The second perfume is Bois d'Harmonie by Guerlain. You can see I have a little bit left. This is a discontinued scent, so you can no longer get this at the Guerlain counter. I heard that if you go to the Paris boutique, you can get a B bottle filled with this perfume. I have no idea if that's true, but if you know and you've done that before, could you please leave me a comment, because that is something that I would really be interested in doing. This, I think this is also an Ike Monardo, and it's a benzoin forward perfume. It's almost all benzoin. It's a little bit smoky. It's supposed to smell like the Armenian papers, so you burn them to scent your house or your space, and it smells just like them, and it's not very sweet. Benzoin can often be very sweet, but it's got a bit of sweetness, a lot of powderiness. It smells like incense, like a sweeter kind of incense. That's how I would describe this. This is the only bottle from the La Matière collection that I have currently, and it's probably going to stay that way. I haven't really smelled another from this line that I want to add to my collection right now. So that's Bois d'Harmonie. Love it. And I love wearing this, especially in the winter. Love wearing this in the winter because it's a little bit sweeter. Let's talk about an ever favorite. I have bought a backup bottle of this perfume, and that's Coromandel by Chanel. This is a mentholated white chocolate. That's how a friend of mine describes it, with lots of patchouli, lots of vanilla, again, powdery, incensey, and a favorite. I wear this anytime I want to cheer myself up, or if I want to reset my nose and reset myself to smell something that is really good, because I've had a few things that don't smell good, then I smell Coromandel. I put on Coromandel and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the stuff that I like. And if I'm thinking of getting something, it needs to smell this good. So again, I will continue getting this as long as they make it. And I really, really enjoy Coromandel. The next perfume is a more recent addition to my collection. I have posted a review of it. I've talked about it before. This is Paddock by Hermes. I love this. It's so weird and definitely different than the other three that I've mentioned. It's not as mass appealing because it does have a bit of barnyard in it. I think there's some oud in here, but there is also really gorgeous powdery incense. And I can pull this off. I think people would be scared to wear it sometimes because it's a little bit animalic. It is animalic, but somehow it doesn't really read as being too dirty on my skin. I love wearing this. This is a special occasion perfume for me because I think that I really need to commit to it when I wear it, but I do love wearing it. And sometimes I love wearing things that are a little bit weird. And I like knowing that I'm wearing something strange and other people might think that it's good, or might not even be able to smell it, and then they have no idea what they're missing out on. So this is another one that is maybe not as easygoing as some of the other perfumes, but it's still really well constructed, and that's something that I enjoy. So there's Hermes Paddock. The next perfume is Almond by Diptyque. This is one of the few Diptyques that I have left in my perfume collection, and it's probably the most underrated Diptyque perfume. I never really hear people talk about this one. It's one of their older perfumes, one of their first perfumes that they brought out. This is a fresh incense, so it's got a dry down of a Papanax, myrrh, and an opening that's very anisic and revitalizing. It is absolutely a perfume that I will replace if this bottle runs out, and I really enjoy wearing it. It's just a stunner of a perfume. And I guess the thing that this has in common with Paddock is that they're both not really as popular from these brands. I mean, Paddock is fairly new. It's only been around for a couple years now, and Almond has been around for a long time, but I think that people really love the newer Diptyques and kind of don't enjoy the older ones as much. The older diptyques are very herbal, and they do kind of read as a little bit old world. Like this kind of now reminds me of like older Santa Maria Novella perfumes. I guess that's just like not what people are always looking for, but I really enjoy it. I like that it smells herbal. I like that it's fresh, but then also warm and incensey. There's tons of cinnamon in here. I really like spice in my perfumes, and so this is another one that does really match my aesthetic. It's got lots of contrast in it. It's very complex and interesting, and yeah, I like that it smells old school. So that's Almond by Diptyque. I wasn't sure whether or not to include this next perfume, but I am going to include it because I seem to be excited about every new bottle that appears at counters, and that is Shalimar by Guerlain. This is the Lutens version. I have it in so many different formats, but I also have it in formats by different brands. So I have Marienbad by Prada. I have Musc Ravageur by Frederic Malle. So I guess that means that I do enjoy wearing this kind of perfume profile. And it's interesting because I think that if you looked at me, you might think that I was more a Chanel No. 5 person instead of being a Shalimar person. But I think the climate where I live is so cold that I really enjoy wearing a little bit sweeter, warmer scents, a bit more than wearing cold aldehydic perfumes, which is how I read Chanel No. 5. So Shalimar has to be included in some way, shape, or form. I've mentioned before that my favorite version is the EDC, so the Eau de Cologne, which I think is from the 90s and is no longer made. But if you can find a bottle of that or even a sample of that, try it because it does smell really leathery and uplifting because it amplifies the bergamot in Shalimar. This version is not as citrusy, but it is a nice version. I've been enjoying wearing it since I got it, so had to include Shalimar, and it is so me. It's still powdery, and it's warm and approachable, and sweet, and still refined. It's still well blended, and that's why people love it. So that's Shalimar. Okay, another perfume that is by Hermes, and that is Equipage Geranium. This is maybe the crown jewel in my whole collection because, again, it is discontinued. It's nearly, I think, impossible to find it at anywhere. I haven't even seen this on eBay. I have not been looking, but I don't see it come up for sale very often. I think that it's so recently discontinued that people are not necessarily decluttering their bottles just yet. But this smells like old school soap. And I don't have a lot of soapy perfumes in my collection. I definitely don't have a lot of laundry musk forward perfumes in my collection. I really don't. It's not that I dislike the smell of laundry. I just think that there's enough laundry in the world that I also don't need to spray myself with perfume that smells like laundry. So I don't usually spend my money on that sort of scent profile. But Equipage Geranium is just so old world, and it's interesting enough for me to keep wearing. So that is Equipage Geranium. This is probably one of the few perfumes that I don't wear a lot because I don't know if I'll ever be able to find another bottle. So that's Equipage Geranium. We're moving on to another perfume that is discontinued and I really don't talk about a lot. I do wear this a few times a year, but it's never going to be worn so much that I put it in a monthly rotation because I have so little of it left. This is Bottega Veneta EDP. You can see this beautiful bottle replicates the pattern of a Bottega Veneta woven bag. So this is an older perfume, again discontinued, not available anymore. However, I have smelled perfumes that are like it and have the same sort of scent profile. I know there's one by Parfum d'Empire that has the same iris leather thing going on. One of the few leather perfumes in my collection. It really does smell like suede, like soft suede leather with a touch of lipstick. So I love that, and maybe I should wear this a little bit more, and then I can just get the Parfum d'Empire, then I don't have to hoard anything. So that is a thought. So maybe I'll do that one day. But this, again, does reflect my aesthetic. I love things that are powdery, which this is. I love softness in my scent, which this has. And it's the perfect mixture of suede and lipstick. And it's just a very interesting perfume. I did overspray this one time, and every single comment I got was that I smelled good, but also that it really smelled like people could envision that this is probably what my house smells like, and this is probably what is the scent that's around me all the time. Like, it just is magical and lovely. So that is Bottega Veneta EDP. I should probably wear this way more than I do, so maybe I will wear this soon. I guess it's only fair for me to finish the way that I started, and that is by talking about a Serge Lutens perfume. I'm going to say that L'Orpheline is my last pick for this video. It is a cold, uplifting incense. I love incense. I can never get enough of it. It's got a little bit of powder. It's got aldehydes, which I don't always like, but they are done so well here. And again, it just smells so good and is very me because of all the incense. So I think, in summary, the things that I really like are powdery, incensey, classic, old school, refined, because I really don't have a niche perfume in here, although I do have lots of niche perfume in my collection. I just feel like these are the ones that really I want to hold on to and never let go. I want to keep smelling them in some way and keep enjoying them. So that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this video and if this matches up to your perfume aesthetic. If I didn't mention something that you were expecting to see, let me know what that is. I think that probably it's hard to just cut down to the top 10, but also it's hard to find 10 scents that I would keep forever. And so some perfumes, even though I like them, I would be okay not having them also, especially if they're a little bit newer. I just don't have as much of a attachment to them maybe. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.